Hello everyone, I'm the Walrus Clown, and welcome to Walrus Reviews, and I'll review anything, and we're reviewing the 80s Space Ghost reboot, and I'm not looking forward to this. See you after the intro, everyone. As mysterious Mr.Enter has already stated, the 70s were the worst time for cartoons because parents' rights groups had way too much power to the point where everything was a conflict-free, G3-esque mess, and this viewpoint lasted well into the 80s until Ronald Reagan, of all people, tore down the walls between cartoons and marketing in late 1983. The Space Ghost reboot happened in 1981 as part of the Space Stars programming block. And while it was marginally better than something made during the 70s by sheer fact that there was a good versus evil conflict between heroes and villains, it was very bare-boned in terms of story. And while the same could be said for its 60s counterpart, that had cheesy, over-the-top action and violence, and super cheesy villains and one-liners to keep it entertaining. None of the super iconic villains from the original made a return, and are instead replaced by a bunch of wet blankets that were routinely named after the villain archetype they represented. Like they had a sorceress from another dimension, where magic was something that you could program into a machine, who tried to use a magically endowed computer to try and make Space Ghost love her. Guess what her name was? Just try and guess. Give up? She was called the Sorceress. Another example. They had an episode where Space Ghost got an evil twin from another dimension. Guess what he was called? The Space Spectre. Did they just look up the word ghost in the thesaurus and go off the first thing they saw? And unlike when MLP did this to name Starlight Glimmer, the Space Spectre was not an interesting character. He didn't even try to conquer the universe or anything. He was just a bank robber that the local police should have been able to handle under normal circumstances. If I could give this show any credit over the original, it's that the animation was improved in most areas, save for the action sequences, which were lame. While Space Ghost still has his power bands, he never uses them on the villains. He might use the freeze ray once in a while to put out a fire or something like that, but they almost never contribute to the downfall of a villain. This show felt like a cheap cash-in on Hanna-Barbera's part, because they had run out of ideas for new cartoons that were completely free of conflict in them. Maybe if it had been made about 4 years later, then the action stories would have been good enough for me to give it a truly positive review, but this is sadly not the case. Next time it's either my crossover review with Nietzsche Moon or a review of the Herculoids, depends on what gets done first. Now if you excuse me, I'm going to watch some ponies to remind myself of what it feels like to feel something other than numb. See you next time!
I smell turkey!
Tuna fish!
Big beef jerky!
Potato knish!
I smell onions!
Pizza too,
The dog needs washing!
and so do you.
It smells like... What does it smell like, Space Ghost? It smells like... pork and beans! It smells like... It smells like Cartoon Planet! Woo-wee! Zorak Prison Pod! Brack, brack!
Barnyard animals.
Oi!
Quack.
Zorak Upside Down!
Sing it, Fuzzy.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
It smells like... asparagus and carrots! It smells like... boxer shorts! It smells like... It smells like Cartoon Planet!